Welcome back to the First Reviews channel. I'm Gall, and I'm sitting here with director Tasha Hubbard and actor Michael Greyeyes of Meadowlarks. So I want to start by asking you, Tasha, first of all, the movie is very much about this 60s scoop, which was this
Mhm.
horrific practice of separating Native American children from their families. How many stories had already been told in media about it, and what did you feel was lacking about this side of culture that needed to be told?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do, Little Bird, so much of our film we're on the shoulders of that film. It really broke ground, and if people haven't seen it, I recommend, telling the story from the perspective of someone as a child to being, when they're taken to then finding their way back. Um, what I felt hadn't been really explored, and I think in general is what does it mean to be in middle age and have this moment of coming together. And I think, when you're in your 50s, it's such a fascinating time because you've lived long enough that you do go and look back and go like, what would the biography of my life look like at this point, right? What have I accomplished? Where am I? And what hasn't happened yet? And I think, I was really excited to keep that, element of, what happens when you have this monumental experience of meeting your family for the first time in your 50s, and what does that mean for the years that you have left. And I think that, that was something I hadn't seen, and frankly I don't think I've seen a lot of, Indigenous life at middle age. I think a lot of times, and I love stories about young people. I'm working on one right now, but
Mhm.
I was really, thrilled to be able to explore a story from that perspective.
And your documentary, Birth of a Family, kind of paved the way for this. When you
Yeah.
listened to the real people who inspired the story of Meadowlarks, was there a
Mhm.
quote or insight that you held with you when working on the film?
Mm. I think making that documentary, I realized how much courage the siblings had to make be vulnerable in coming and taking this step. Um, that I think they all understood was going to shake up their lives, and I think that that takes courage to do that. And so I really held that with the characters around who's got the capacity and at varying levels and all of this stuff. But it is a huge act of courage, and I definitely wanted to keep that.
And Michael, I'd love to hear from you as well. Like, what did you draw from when bringing the character of Anthony to life? You have that wonderful line, "I'll be your finish line," that you repeat to a few of the characters. So, can you expand on the significance of that and the bigger picture of the character's life?
Yeah, thank you. I think Anthony was a beautiful journey for me as an actor because of the complexity of how he was written, but also the the sophistication with he like how he was placed inside the narrative. Right, you're looking at a person who grew up without models. Right, he grew up without an indigenous male model for him to learn from, either by emulation or by rejecting that person, or all the things in the middle. And so when we see him, he's trying to understand himself as a brother. Like, for his entire life he was kind of alone, like he didn't belong to anyone. And all of a sudden he was put into this situation of belonging, and belonging also means obligation and responsibility. So throughout the film, he's being confronted again and again and again by these responsibilities and obligations to his sisters that he doesn't really know how to embody or to enact. Like, there's the scene where he meets the elders, and he stands up and he goes, I grew my hair because that's how I saw pictures of us. Like, he's responding to echoes of things. And so when he says that line, I'll be your finish line, it's the moment I think we as an audience understand that he's settled into being a big brother. Like he finally has a place in the context of his universe. He was like, I am a big brother, and big brothers do this, like in his mind, like this is how families operate, and big brothers offer this to their younger siblings. And I think it's that moment where you realize, oh my God, I think this guy literally matured in front of our eyes, and he didn't even know that he wasn't even aware of what he didn't know. And so like those moments like take him by surprise, like right on screen. Like he doesn't even know what's happening to him. He's so kind of destabilized by these understandings. So yeah, for me, that's a really exciting process to play as an actor.
That's beautiful. As a big brother myself, that answer definitely resonates. So you guys shot in Banff, if I'm not mistaken, and I've been to Banff long ago, and it's a wonderful place to explore the outdoors. I'd love to hear from both your perspectives, creating the bond between the characters, both from you, Michael, and from Tasha, and also how the characters' strengths and flaws play off each other, and how you as people sort of brought that to the performance too.
Yeah, I think playing in Banff was really a really extraordinary thing. My understanding of Banff is that Indigenous communities have always understood that there's a power to that place, and the Indigenous communities that shared it and that went through that territory, they never set up permanent settlements there. They always recognized that this was a place for gathering and for ceremony and for other purposes, but not to live there permanently. So there's a beautiful correlation to why these siblings chose Banff. Like it's a temporary place. It's a temporary place where we come together for a transformative reason, and they do transform there. So I think there's a hidden parallel to how we look at that land and how this family and what they experience that I think would resonate with Indigenous audiences and certainly people of that territory who understand what Banff means.
Yeah, and I should point out, like we did shoot 5 days in Banff proper, but we also shot in Golden, BC, to stand in for Banff for the Rockies, and I think we also shot one day on the Stoney Nakoda First Nation in Morley. So we, definitely thought a lot about where we were going to film, what Indigenous territory. We were lucky to have people come and spend time with us, give us some history of that territory. And I think that really was a grounding experience for us. I mean, the whole crew would come. We'd have circles, just talk, get to know each other, find out everyone's names. But I think it just was, it set a tone for us of respect for where we are, respect for Indigenous history and knowledge. And, I think also just the fact that we weren't able to go home, which I think on some level is tough, but on the other, it meant that we were together, and, there was an intimacy that was built in both the cast and crew that I think really helped us, and shows up on screen.
So to wrap up quickly, what is one thing that you hope someone who's maybe not familiar with the Cree community or maybe not even Canadian takes away from watching Meadowlarks?
I think that the complexity of who we are as people, I think the way that, we've been represented on screen isn't the full picture of who we are. I think also there's joy and hope and love at the heart of our families. And, we thought a lot about that throughout. The incredible archival images that are the title sequence for the film, the wonderful Paul Cisequace Sequoias found for us. And I said to him, I'm like, can you find me pictures of families that are happy and and intact? And he just delivered. And I'm like, yeah, like that's who we are. And sometimes that gets interrupted, by these policies. But this film really is about getting back to who we are.
Thank you so much, Tasha and Michael, for your time and for speaking with me
Yeah.
about.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.